Alto with the Roosevelt School PTA, and I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for being here tonight. The National PTA motto is "Every child, one voice," and I think that is exactly what brings us all together here tonight. On Tuesday, November 6th, we must use our voices and vote 3 candidates onto the Lyndhurst Board of Education. This forum has been organized as a part of our ongoing voter education efforts to help voters make more informed decisions at the upcoming election. We hope this evening allows you to learn more about the candidates and what they hope to do for our schools, and most importantly, our children's education. I would like to thank all of our PTAs for their support, and a special thank you to Christy Ross and Megan Dyer for their help organizing the forum. Without further ado, I would like to turn things over to our county PTA moderator, Olga Lam.
Good evening. Before we begin, I always like to read the rules that are going to be in effect this evening. These rules were mailed to each candidate when they were invited to participate tonight. By them accepting the invitation to come this evening, they've accepted these rules that will be in effect. Each candidate will be allowed to make a 5-minute presentation. No letters or statements by absent candidates will be read. A timekeeper with a stopwatch will be present. The only questions that will be asked will be written on index cards provided upon arrival. Those cards will be collected by the hostess and sorted and read by the county-provided moderator. Each candidate will be allowed 1 minute to answer the question. The timekeeper will signal when time is up. The last question will be entertained no later than 9 p.m. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute summation after the last question. At that time, they can make any rebuttals. No rebuttals will be made during the question-answer portion of the evening. Presentations will begin in alphabetical order and conclude the summation in reverse order. I would like the candidates to be aware of where the timekeepers are sitting. Our timekeepers are Megan Dyer and Christy Ross. Would you just hold up so they know what to expect? For the 5-minute presentation, when you have 1 minute left, the 1 minute will go up, and when you have to stop, the stop will go up. Okay. And when we're doing the summation, when you have 30 seconds left, the 30 seconds will go up. Tonight our candidates are Bill Barnaskas, Frank Ferrandino, Giovanni Gaccione, Sheri Jarvis, Lynn Mizeski, Rick Pizzuti, Vinnie Tunnero, and Stephen Vendola. We will now begin our presentations, and we will begin with Mr. Barnaskas.
Thank you. My name is Bill Barnaskas. I'm a lifelong Lyndhurst resident. I graduated Lyndhurst High School in 1969, graduated from Colby University in 1973. My wife graduated Lyndhurst High School in 74. My daughter Donna in 94. And she attended William Patterson University, then served 10 years active duty in the U.S. Navy. My younger daughter, Tori, graduated Lyndhurst in 2012 and graduated from the University of New Hampshire in 2016. Most of my working career has been spent in the health insurance industry, and for the last 17 years, I've worked for the Humana Insurance Company as an area director and hospital contracting executive. Simply put, my job is to contract with large hospital systems and physician organizations into Humana's participating provider network. Locally, I served many years ago on the Lyndhurst Juvenile Conference Committee. I coached girls softball, girls basketball, taught Sunday school. I coached youth football for over 25 years. I was elected to the Lyndhurst Board of Education in 2003. I was re-elected in 2006 and in 2009. I chose not to run for re-election in 2012. At that time, I was traveling extensively for business, so much so that I did not believe I could be an effective board member with all the travel that I was doing. But while I was a board member, I chaired many committees. I served 2 terms as president. I also represented Lyndhurst at the Bergen County School Boards Organization. Also at the Bergen County School Boards Organization, I was elected treasurer, secretary, and then I was elected president after that. On the state level, I represented Lyndhurst at the New Jersey School Board Association's Delegate Assembly, which is the policy-making arm of the state association. I also, at the state level, was on the legislative committee and the nominating committees. Each year that I was on the board, I traveled with other New Jersey school board members to Washington, D.C. as part of the National Association's Federal Relations Network, where we would go to Washington, D.C. and meet with members of New Jersey's congressional delegation of congressmen and senators on Capitol Hill to advocate and lobby for changes that would benefit educational legislation and funding. Over time, my business travel slowed down to the point where in 2015 I was approached and asked if I would be interested in being a member of the Bergen County Special Services Board of Education, which is an appointed as opposed to an elected board. And I said that I was interested, and I was appointed by the county executive to be a member of that board. And just recently I was reappointed by the county executive for another term. So I'm still a board member at the county level. And that's it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frank Ferrandino. Some of you may already know me from my run for the Board of Ed last year. For those who don't, I've been a Lyndhurst resident now for almost 8 years. I grew up in Kearney, graduated from Queen of Peace and Rutgers Business School. I married my high school sweetheart, Lori, and we had 2 boys together, Frankie, who's a junior in the Lyndhurst High School, and Jamie, who's a first grader at Franklin School. Frankie started in the Lyndhurst school system in the 4th grade when we moved to town. Jamie, while only being in the 1st grade, has been in the school system now for 5 years. After aging out of early intervention at the age of 3, Jamie was placed in the special education preschool disabled program. He started off learning how to communicate using picture exchange and sign language. Because of the hard work and dedication of our special education teachers and staff, he progressed to a more independent preschool disabled program and eventually was able to enter the general education kindergarten with a speech IEP. People that meet him today and hear his story are amazed how far he's come. And for that, my family will forever be grateful to the teachers and administrators who helped him get to where he is today. In addition to being a husband and a parent, I'm also your neighbor. I'm a homeowner, a taxpayer, a PTA member, a college graduate, and a business owner. What I'm not is a politician. I'm running for the Board of Ed 100% independent. I fully funded my campaign personally. I've accepted no donations from any friends or supporters. I have 0 ties to any person, party, or group, and I have no personal or political agenda here today. My only agenda is to do what's right. I don't owe any favors or any jobs. I'm 100% transparent. What you see is what you get. I ran last year on transparency and integrity, and I continue that message today. I don't need to remind you of our current situation. Everyone here is aware we're $5 million plus in debt and taken over by the state. We're all aware we have board members with obvious conflicts of interest, conflicts that prevent them from voting more often than not on issues that affect our kids. We're all aware of the past hiring practices and have questioned if the best qualified person was passed up in order to hire a friend or family member. We're all witnesses to these practices. These practices got us where we are today, and they have to stop. We also need to take a look at how our special committees are run. Aside from the fact meetings weren't being held, we need to make sure the the right people are placed in the committee based on their strengths. We select board members to be our watchdogs for the children's education. I promise to be that watchdog. I promise to hold other board members accountable for their decisions. I promise to do what's right 100% of the time, no matter what. Our school budget is somewhere in the $42 million range. About $10 million of that is earmarked for employee benefits, health insurance, dental, vision. That $10 million is probably second only to salaries as it relates to the proportion of our budget. So it's a big piece of the pie. What I bring to the table is 18 years in the financial service industry, where 16 of those years I've specialized in group health insurance, both in the fully insured and self-funded markets. Holding a state insurance producer's license, I've sat at the table as a broker with insurance carriers representing my clients to get them the best possible plan and rate. Being a business owner, I shop for and pay 100% of my family's health insurance every year. I know the shopping process intimately because I've been on both sides of the table, as a consumer and as a broker. I know this current board is severely lacking this knowledge to work with brokers and carriers to properly design and negotiate and rate that will be both responsibly priced and offer exceptional coverage to our hardworking staff and their families. There's a lot that goes into shopping health insurance for a school district. My industry knowledge will be an enormous asset to this board and to our town as it relates to getting back to fiscal responsibility moving forward. Anybody can get up here and say things like put kids first, but I believe actions speak louder than words. Come November 6th, you have a say, you have the power. Please consider me as one of the 3 votes when you vote on election day. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, PTA, for putting this together. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Giovanni Gaccione. I've been born and raised in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. I went through Roosevelt School, then to Lyndhurst High School. I played sports in Lyndhurst, did the plays. I've been through the town and school systems. From Lyndhurst, I went to Stevens, where I got my bachelor's and master's degree in information systems. And then I just recently completed my Columbia MBA. In terms of my job experience and what I do, so I head up the global business for justice and public safety for a company called Genetech. What that means and what we do is we actually create safe spaces for school districts, cities, and governments, and helping them use technology to make those spaces safer. From a family perspective, I'm a father of 2. Our newest addition is 2 weeks old, so I'm a little sleep deprived. We moved into Lyndhurst 5 years ago with the plan to actually make Lyndhurst our long-term residence, which is why I'm up here today. I have, as you can tell, I have a passion for education, and I want to make sure that our current generation, as well as our children, have the best possible education they can get from our system. So the way I broke it up is into three different areas. Smart communication. So one of the things I'd love to see or have happen is easier way to get information. So cleaning up the website and just being able to easily access information that's coming from the school district and from the board. What does that mean? In today's day and age, an old saying says that it takes a village, and in today, that's really true. Whether you're a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a guardian, being able to access all that information, schedules, when events are for students and kids, should be at the tip of our fingers to get them access. But information flow is actually a two-way street. Not only getting information to you, but also getting information from you and the school the student body. So one of the things I'd love to see is having the students more involved in the Board of Ed meetings. So either having like a student council representative at the meetings themselves, and then small little changes, making it easier to understand some of the documentation that goes out during the meetings. Second, I call it securing our kids' futures. And that's really because I don't believe there's a one-size-fits-all education. I believe some students want to go to college. I believe others that want to go to trade schools should have the ability to, and they should have those routes to do both of those things. And we should make a big effort for allowing those two paths. But I do see a lot of progress in that. Not only the expansion of the STEM programs here, but also in the referendum adding maker spaces. So not only are the traditional trades important, but we will have new trades in the future that I see being built up. And then finally, 3, which is my expertise, is safe spaces. And that's really twofold. The first is working closer with the town. The town's building a really nice building for us. We should be close in relationship with them to see what's going on. So being more in sync with them. And then finally, security is everyone's responsibility nowadays. Whether you're a student, staff, educator, community member, I think it's important that everyone communicates very strongly together, as well as working with the men and women of the Lyndhurst Police Department to make these spaces safer. I want to once again thank you all for coming out, and I welcome your questions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheri Jarvis, and I am an incumbent running for the Lyndhurst Board of Education. I would like to take this time to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy lives and coming out tonight and giving us the opportunity to speak and answer questions. While public speaking is a major phobia of mine, I'm here because of my dedication and commitment to the school district. Some information about myself: I was born and raised in Lyndhurst. My husband and I are homeowners and have been together for over 20 years and married for 15. We have 3 children together. Caitlin is 14 and a freshman in Lyndhurst High School. Megan is 12 and in 7th grade, and Matthew is 10 and in 5th grade. When I first ran for the Board of Education, I said my only objective was to always do what is right for our children, and I am running again for my 3rd term, and that continues to be my main objective. I have always held true to my values and integrity. I have always voted for the better good for our students with the information presented to the board. Unfortunately, not all information was freely shared with the board as a whole to be able to make the best informed decisions. Our role as a board is not to micromanage day-to-day operations, but to put the most qualified individuals in position to lead and direct and drive this district forward, to be sure policy is in place and is followed. Yes, our school district has an approximate $5 million deficit, and it devastates me because who suffers with the children? This last year has not been easy, fighting for answers and accountability that we all want and deserve. I placed myself on the Finance Committee this last year and was able to be involved in the very arduous task of creating a sound yet extremely tight budget for the 2018-2019 school year with minimal impact to the children. Task was not taken lightly. It was with a heavy heart that loss and reduction in force needed to happen. What I want this community to know is that we have amazing teachers and all support staff that care and work diligently to do what is right for our children, and we need to give them the support they deserve. Briefly, I'd like to take this opportunity to address the doctrine of necessity and my reason for being included. My father-in-law owns and operates a plumbing and heating business, and yes, provides services to this district as it has for the 20-plus years prior to me being a Board of Education member. Why, may you ask, is he still providing services to this district when I'm a sitting board member? Maybe it's because when an emergency happens, he is always the first to respond, or return a call, or is on site to see what he can do. It is upsetting to learn when an over request is received, only requesting the amount paid out by district for services he has provided, that it fails to ask for the itemized bill. Itemized bill to show and report on all the reduced labor charges, no charge for pro bono services he has provided to this district over his many years of service. One example is the donated labor and materials for the entire field task project. All this done looking for nothing in return. So in this very difficult time with the deficit and the state monitor here in our district, I welcome this time to learn from the past mistakes, but to know I am still fighting for answers. We need to take this time to rebuild this district with the proper administration in place to move this district forward successfully. We need to know that every individual hired within this district has one objective, and it should always be the children. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for all coming out tonight and giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Lynn Mizeski. I'm happily married to my husband Patrick, with whom I have 2 children, Stephanie in the 9th grade attending Lyndhurst High School, and Christina in the 4th grade attending Sacred Heart. I've lived in Lyndhurst for almost 30 years. We are homeowners since 2003, and we are very active in the community. Currently, I work at home as a part-time administrative assistant and medical sales associate. Prior to this, I was the transportation coordinator at the South Bergen Joint Commission. This is a district that provides educational services such as classroom instruction, occupational, physical, and speech therapies, and transportation services for special needs students throughout Bergen County. During my tenure, my department, with 2 assistants, was responsible for transporting 7,000 students from 43 Bergen County school districts. Lyndhurst is one of them. I organized public bid openings, prepared and executed contracts, and prepared state aid reports. My office was responsible for payments to contractors and billing school districts utilizing our services. We operated on administrative fees only, and our budget was checked monthly. The entire process was subject to review by the State Department of Education and our school auditors. My experience with special needs families, child study teams, and business office operations is extensive. I know what questions to ask and what to look for. After 25 years of dedicated service, I retired in October of 2014. Last year, when we were deciding where my oldest daughter was going to attend high school, we were overwhelmed with our options. We researched Catholic high schools and Lyndhurst High School. While doing the research and attending board meetings, it was disclosed that there was a significant deficit. The business administrator gave his presentation, and I immediately had a flood of questions based on my work experience alone, never mind the questions I have as a parent and a taxpayer. It was then that I decided I would seek a seat on the Lyndhurst Board of Education if my daughter chose to come to Lyndhurst High School. Although as a homeowner I have the right to seek a seat on the board, it is my personal belief that a board member should be directly affected by the choices he or she makes. Even though the district was in financial difficulty, we were very impressed by the teaching staff, the courses offered, and the extracurricular activities. Lyndhurst High School was our final decision, and I am pleased to report that Stephanie's experience has been more than positive. I have been questioned regarding my affiliation with Sacred Heart School. My husband and I are both Roman Catholic, and we have very strong opinions regarding our faith and religious education. The Catholic school environment worked for us and worked for our values. Our choice to send our daughters to a Catholic grammar school is strictly and solely a religious decision, and it has been a financial sacrifice. Although we cannot escape our current deficit unscathed, and the construction planned on the grammar schools is on hold, the new junior high school being built gives us hope for the future of our schools here in Lyndhurst. The new building will be a wonderful place for our students and for our staff. It will also be attractive to the new families considering moving to Lyndhurst. We need smart, experienced, dedicated people on the board to steer our district and administration. We need people who will make decisions with their own children in mind and their property values. Character and integrity are paramount as we rebuild. If elected, you have 2 people that possess these attributes and acumen necessary for Lyndhurst Public Schools. Consider voting number 5 and number 7 on November 6th. I want to thank my husband and my family for their support and the Lyndhurst community for their consideration. Thank you.